All right, welcome to the Great Minds Podcast. This is Derrick.
This is Vaughn.
And we're here with a very special guest, Rsonist. What's good?
What's good?
Heatmakerz, what up? What up? What up?
Heatmakerz. So brief introduction. So he's from the Legendary Heatmakerz production. If you're familiar with Dipset, he's the man behind a lot of that sound, the soul samples, responsible for tons of hip-hop anthems, represents the Bronx, New York, and is originally from Jamaica. So shout out to Rsonist for joining us today.
What's up, y'all?
Appreciate it.
Yep. All right, so how did you get your start being a producer? Well, like, what got you into it to start with?
For me, it was I used to DJ when I was in college. I went to Howard. I used to DJ, and then I got kicked out of college. And when I came home, my homeboy Thriller, he had just bought an MP, and he was going to Trinidad for a few days. So I asked him to let me hold it. I messed around with it for a while. I made two beats that was kind of trash. I think now that I think back on it, the beats is probably kind of trash, but I ended up selling those two beats to a guy by the name of Todd Terry, who, after he bought those beats, he wanted more beats. I told him I didn't have any equipment. He ended up buying me like $30,000 worth of equipment after meeting him one time. So
Wow.
I guess you could say things were just meant to happen, man. I don't know how else to explain it.
True. Those beats weren't that bad then.
Nah, not that. I mean, shit. To me now they were, but back then I guess they was decent enough to get me that equipment.
Word. I had a question too. With going to Howard, did you actually meet anybody at Howard that kind of helped you throughout your career or to get started, or not really?
I met a lot of people, but I wouldn't say they helped me get started. Like me and Young Guru went to college together. I went to college with Rich Harrison. I didn't know him, but we went to the same college. A bunch of people, man. One of my close friends at college, he used to DJ for Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
So like the music was always around, you know what I'm saying? So, but I guess it was more inspiration than anything. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say they helped me, like physically helped me, but you know, inspirationally they helped me from seeing what they were doing and just knowing that we were all kind of on the same path. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Everybody was bubbling, so it's kind of contagious, like in the water. Gotcha.
It's either sink or swim, man. So
Yeah,
we had to swim.
So when you had the MP, like how did you know how to maneuver that? Did you use a sample? Did you just come on? Like, how did you figure out how to work it? Like, I know you thought the beat was trash in hindsight, but how'd you even put that together?
For me, it wasn't like, I'm the type of person, first of all, man, when I get something, I never read the instruction manual. I never go on, I think I got too much pride for that shit, man. I never go online and try to see how to do it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when I got the MP, there was no YouTube, but I just refused to ask people. It was more like, I always looked at it like if I learned from somebody else, I was kind of inheriting their style in a way.
Okay.
And I always wanted my own sound and my own style, so I just taught myself, and I learned how to make beats off of mainly reggae records because, you know, that's all my parents had in the crib was like, you know, Old Garnet Silk, you know, Dennis Brown, Bob Marley, Beres Hammond, things like that. So that's what I learned how to sample off of, and I never liked the way they sound at regular speed. So I used to speed it up, and then I guess my sound just developed from there. Like it started with sped up reggae samples, to be honest.
Okay. So when you're making a beat, are you just focused on you doing your thing, not worry about the artist so much, or are you catering your beat to a certain artist?
Nah, I don't believe in that, because I believe when you do that, you're almost killing the feeling of the beat that you're trying to create, because now you're trying to manipulate your sound to fit somebody else, when meanwhile they came to you because they like your sound.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to hear Timbaland switch up being Timbaland for somebody because that's what makes me a fan of Timbaland. Or I wouldn't want to hear Primo switch up being Primo or RZA and et cetera, because their sound is why I like them. And I think their sound is why artists come to them for work, is because they want to see how they sound on that sound.
Yeah, you can't come there and be like, hey, Timbaland, can you give me a Swiss type beat?
Right. You know what I mean? That's disrespectful.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah.
So when the guy bought you that equipment, what did you owe him anything? Did you Signed to him? How did that work?
You know, that was my first question, man. My first question was like, yo, what do I owe you? What I got to, you know, I don't want to be in debt to nobody. So I'm like, what do I owe you? He was like, yo, you don't owe me nothing. He said, matter of fact, when you get on, you just owe me 2 free beats.
Wow.
And he said that shit from, what year was this? This was like 99, maybe. He said that shit.
Wow.
And the crazy part about it is years later, when I opened up my studio, my first studio on, not my first studio, but my studio on 52nd Street recently, like about 7 years ago, his son came to record there, and I did music with his son, so it all balanced out.
All balanced.
Okay.
Now his son is an artist. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
That's dope. I always think you put good vibes out there, good vibes come back anyway. So he already knew what it was.
Yeah, million percent. Plus, at the end of the day, he was not to sound like that. This is my man. He was loaded, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I follow you.
That 30,000 he gave me as much. That shit was like $1 million to me. But to him, this dude had Ferraris and Lambos in the driveway. He didn't really give a shit about that. But it was more so, I think he looked at it like, I gotta just pay it forward. You know what I mean? Like, I was in that position one time, and now this kid is here, and I can help him out, and it's not gonna kill me to help him out. And I think he probably saw something in me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I spoke to him last week, and I brought the story up because it's still kind of unbelievable to me that somebody would do that for a complete stranger. You know what I mean?
Word, definitely.
How'd you link with Cam and Jim?
Oh, back when Heatmakerz was a few of us, we ran into a dude by the name of Renee McLean who used to manage Cam at the time. He used to also do radio promo. So we went to him to try to get some records with some artists that we were working with, played on the radio. And he was like, yo, what do y'all do? And we was like, we produce. He's like, yo, I manage Cam. Y'all got any beats? And I always walk with beats on me because I always believe that you just never know when you're going to run into an artist. So gave him the CD. The CD had like about 20 beats on there, and they ended up picking 9 out of those 20 made Diplomatic Immunity. And
wow.
We did an extra 2 to make it 11. But that first CD had a majority of the beats on there. You know what I mean? I'm Ready, fucking More Than Music, Santana the Great. A bunch of shit was on there. Like 9 out of the 11 was on that CD.
What's crazy, like that's how we got up on Heatmakerz. I mean,
Definitely.
We're in college. We lived by the Dipset anthem, the dancing at the parties, and you know, Cam saying Heatmakerz at the beginning. So we've been vibing for your music, you know, to your music to close to 20 years.
You know what's crazy? When people tell me shit like that, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a blessing, man. I love hearing shit like that, but it lets me know how much years passed. Like, I can't believe it's been, that shit is crazy to me. Like, Diplomatic Immunity, I think, just had its, 17-year anniversary or 8?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, right?
I mean, it used to be college parties. Like, Dipset anthem came on, and it was bonkers in there.
Yeah, like 02, 03, yeah, around there.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what's so bugged out? Like, the way that I know that people reacted to it back then I had no clue. Like, I was a dude, I was still in my mother's basement trying to crank out beat after beat. I didn't know that the love for Heatmakerz was so crazy because there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook, so you couldn't really get that love instantaneously. I had to be walking through the street somewhere and somebody seemed like, oh, ain't you the dude that, yo, I fuck with your music? But that would happen, you know, sporadically, maybe once or twice a week. So it wasn't like it was happening every time I stepped outside. But with Instagram, it's like the minute a record is out that you produced, you get the love.
Yeah,
instantaneously.
It was a different type of grind, and I even followed you like post Heatmakerz with the Crash Crew.
Right. I'm surprised you even know about that.
Well, Doc's Diggler, that's my man. So.
Oh yeah, that's my nigga, man, forever. Doc's my nigga forever.
So how do you think you were saying about like the social media, IG, Twitter, and all that stuff? How do you think that has helped the game, or helped producers in general to get that face out there?
Let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you 2 sides. I think it helped and it hurt. You know what I mean? I think it helped in the sense of, like I said, you can get instant feedback on your music. So like if you make something that's not up to par, social media in general is pretty raw. So they're gonna let you know like this ain't it. You know what I mean? So I think it keeps a lot of people balanced so they don't get too big on themselves or they don't get too low on themselves, you know what I'm saying? But I think it hurts in the same breath of people think just because they can do something and send it to the world real quick, that they're automatically in that field. You know what I mean? Like if somebody
Gotcha.
makes a beat and puts it on the gram, now they're a producer. If somebody writes their first rap song and puts it on the gram, even if it's a freestyle, they're a rapper now.
Yep.
You understand? Like there's like no judgment for people no more. Like back in the day when you used to DJ, right? Like you had to go through it. You had crates of records. You had to carry, you and your homeboys had to carry the crates of records to the club. So it kind of tested your will. Like if you wanted to be a DJ and go through all of that, you kept doing it. Nowadays, you put your laptop in your book bag, and you put your hard drive in your book bag, and you go to the club, and that's it.
Yeah, you lit.
Right, you got over 10,000 records on you easy. So there really is no like test no more. You know what I mean? Like before, you kind of had to, like when I was coming up and trying to sell beats, I had to sit outside of studios and hope to run into an artist or get cool with the receptionist at the desk in the studio so I could kind of sneak my way in and play beats for artists. Now it's like a nigga hit you on the DM, y'all want to play your beats. You know what I'm saying? Like the legwork is gone. So if you really want to do something, it's really no test. It's like the minute a nigga hits a brick wall, then he starts questioning, does he want to do this anymore?
Gotcha. I had a quick question to piggyback off that too. As far as, do you think it's better to have a dope rapper on your music, or just keep making music and keep making your beats and it'll be out there?
Nah, it's always good to have a dope / motivated rapper. You know what I mean? Because there's different types of artists. There's an artist that's 100% talented, but the work ethic ain't there.
Mm-hmm.
So you giving him music, he might record some of the best music to it, but then he never want to put it out. He don't want to promote it. He don't want to do the legwork that comes along with that. Then you got the flip side. You got the other artist who wants to do all the legwork, that wants to promote, that wants to be out in the street, but he's not as talently gifted as another artist. You know what I mean? So and then you run into the rare artists that possess both.
Mm-hmm.
So it always helps when you got an artist that possess both. But if it's one or the other, it's kind of like it's a toss up, man. Because like sometimes again, you might have great beats, and then the artist might not live up to the beats. But when it comes time to promote, they're ready to hit the streets and run.
Yeah.
So it's like, which one would you rather? You know what I'm saying? Would you rather the artist that's dope but don't want to hit the streets and promote, or would you rather the artist that's and is willing to run around the world for you?
They're gonna go hard.
No doubt, they're gonna go hard.
Right. So when you find, to me, I would rather the dude that is lacking a little bit in the talent department was willing to run around, because to me, everybody gets better over time. If I put you in the studio with 5 other lyrical monsters, it's only a matter of time before you get better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, it's kind of, to me, it's like working with Jim. Jim has always been a dope artist to me, but when I started working with Jim, and Jim is around people like Fred and Joel Ortiz and a bunch of other people that we in the studio with, Jim is a monster now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to step.
Jim sound like he could compete with any lyricist right now.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. We were just talking about that too.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night. And again, the iron sharpens iron. You around Joel and Fred, because those dudes are different.
But I think they motivated each other, man, because, when Jim would see Fred work, he'd get motivated. And when Fred would see Jim work, he would get motivated. So it was never, they both kept each other sharp, man. So, I know Jim shouts out Fred for motivating him, but if Fred was here, he would tell you the same thing. Jim used to motivate him too. You know what I mean?
Definitely. That's dope.
So I feel like you perfected the soul sound, in my opinion. And I think I'm a sucker for a soul sample all the time. And I honestly think, and I know people before you may have done it, I think you started as one of the most, at least to me, most prominent one, even before guys like Apollo Brown. So you were like, how did you perfect that sound, or what do you look for?
I don't think I look for anything, man. I think I try to, it's a feeling to me. Like, I don't ever go into a sample like, okay, this is how I got to make it sound.
Yeah.
I fuck around with it until it feels like something. And I know that's kind of like a vague answer, but I think you understand what I mean when I say that. When you listen to my music, when you listen to like I'm Ready, when you listen to Killer Cam, when you listen to certain records, Who Am I? Certain records that have like that real soul to it, it was just me fucking around until it gives you goosebumps. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm making the music and I don't get goosebumps, then how I expect you to get goosebumps?
Word.
You know what I mean? So when I make music, I make it from the standpoint like I'm connected to the people I'm playing the music to. So if I don't feel a way, I don't expect them to feel a way.
Yep.
So whatever beat you go crazy for, nigga, I went crazy for it for hours on end before you even heard it. Just know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Word
big
up.
on that. I'm never gonna put out garbage to the people because it's a direct reflection of me. Like,
Facts.
it don't sound right. Y'all can hold me accountable. Like, yo, this nigga are slipping. You know
Keep
what I mean?
working till it works, right?
Exactly.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
That's why I know it's with you too. Is quality over quantity, which I think is
1,000,000%.
very, very important. Now I think a lot of people, a lot of producers right now, they don't do that. They just throw it out. So they'll go, you know what?
Yeah, and they
No.
don't gotta, like, a lot of the newer music, like, and it's nothing against trap music, but this is my only problem with a lot of the new music that's coming out is that it's hard for me to differentiate who's making what.
Mhm.
Because it's the same drum programming half the time, it's the same heavy ass 808s, and it's pretty much within the same tempo. So it's hard for me to know, like, all right, this is this dude, or this is that dude, or this dude made that. It's like I miss the days when I could turn on the radio and I'd be like, oh, Timbaland did that. Oh, Sis did
Primo.
that.
Mhm.
Oh, Primo did that.
Yep.
Oh, you know what I mean? Like, the list goes on of people with signature sounds, and it's like nowadays, it's like R&B. A lot of the voices in R&B sound similar.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Growing up, I remember listening to, you hear Stevie Wonder, he sound different. You hear Michael Jackson, he sound different. Even when you get older, you hear R. Kelly, it's like now, you can hear 5 different singing niggas and they all sound the same now, to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just feel like that's the problem with the game now, is that they look at it like, okay, this is winning. We need somebody that can duplicate this and put him out. Instead of trying to find a whole new voice, they want somebody with the same voice, but maybe he's a little younger to piggyback off the last dude that won doing that. And that's kind of corny to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So, COVID-19, how has that affected you, if at all? I know we lost a great lyricist, Fred da Godson, rest in peace. I know you guys work closely together. How has that affected you? I mean, Fred's death and also just COVID in general. How's it affected you, your business?
Realistically, family-wise, I lost the uncle, I lost the aunt, and I lost Fred, who's like, you could say Fred was like my best friend in a way. You know what I mean? Well, not in a way,
Sorry
but like
to hear
other
that,
than
man.
music was my best friend. You know what I mean? But other than that, to be real with you, it hasn't really affected my money too much in business because, you know, in these times, there's only a couple things people are doing. Either they streaming videos or they streaming music.
Right.
So again, it hasn't really affected my business other than being able to work with artists face to face. But besides that, I'm still making music at the pace I've been making music. I'm still sending music to artists, finishing up projects. It's just not as personal, you know, face to face like it used to be. But, you know, like family wise, COVID fucked me up. You know, I lost a lot of people that was close to me. But business wise, nothing has changed really. You know, it's still just the more work I do, the same thing happens. You know what I mean? It's like it hasn't slowed down my workflow at all. Let me put it like that.
Gotcha.
No doubt. I know I was doing some research, and I know that Fred has a new project coming out soon that I think you're working on, if I'm mistaken. When can we expect to see that, in the near future, or, you know, it's not ready yet?
Yeah, realistically, I'm aiming for September.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's not a full length project. It's 7 songs because before he passed, we were in the process of working on Contraband 3, which this is that I'm gonna put out. But we only did 7 songs, and I don't wanna disrespect his memory and add things that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave it at 7. The only thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna round up the last bit of features that, you know, we spoke about certain features that we wanted on certain songs. So I'm gonna try to make that happen for him. And so like I said, hopefully mid-September. If everything works the way it's supposed to, that's what I'm aiming for. I would like to do it earlier, but, you know, I got to work with other people's schedules as far as like when they can lay the verse down, if they're gonna do the verse, can they shoot a vid, you know, like a bunch of things.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you know,
we're definitely looking forward to that, because that single that you guys put out a couple of weeks ago, I believe, it sounds like it's present, man.
Oh, the Black Power?
Yeah, it sounds like it's present.
Black Power's out for 5 years.
Wow.
We just re-released it. He did that song right after I want to say he did that shit around
Ferguson, maybe.
This was I think it was 2015. We did that.
Ah.
That was on Contraband 2.
Okay.
But for some reason, Contraband 2 got taken down off of all the major sites, so we put it back up. We re-released it, but that was one of the records that was on there. But
Okay.
it's crazy how perfectly that fit the times right now. We did that shit 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Fred was just different lyrically, ahead of his time, and definitely one of the most respected MCs ever. I feel like.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. A lot of artists won't admit it, but he was their favorite artist, man. The real artists will admit it. Like if you speak to Fat Joe, he says it all the time. Fred was his favorite rapper. You know what I mean? And other artists will take it to their grave with him, man. But I know they listen to him, and I know they study him. They might not admit it, but trust me, I know. I can hear it in their shit, but I just know already.
It's crazy. I'm always a little biased because I grew up in the Bronx a little bit, so I'm always biased to a Bronx rapper. So that's just how I am. I should be, right?
You're both from the Bronx. You should be, man.
Definitely.
How did working with Joel and King Crooked? I know you had like 3 joints on their album. How did that come about?
The crazy part is that how many songs was on there? 8? Was it 8?
8,
8, right?
Yeah.
They did that album and I bullshit you not. They did that album in 3 days.
I believe it.
because Crook he flew in from LA, and I remember he came by the studio and Joel said, "Yo, me and Crook doing a project." And to be honest, all the beats I had on there was made in those 3 days.
Wow.
Like the intro was I do a class for kids, right? Like where not really kids, but I just do a production class where I kind of run through the basis of production and talk about certain things. And so this particular day before I had a class, I was just putting a beat together to show them kind of how to structure beats and put shit together. And the intro, what did he call it again? Hard. Hard. I think the intro is called Hard. That one I did for the class, and then Crook was like, while I'm talking to Crook and Joel, I'm making a beat, but we're having a regular conversation.
Yeah.
So Crook was like, "What the fuck is that?" I said, "What you mean?" He said, "What you working on?" I said, "Oh, this is some shit for the class." He said, "Turn that up." I turned. He said, "Oh, this shit is crazy." He said, "Yo, I need that." So I sent that to them. Then the Memorial Day, I was working on that beat in the studio, and Joel started mouthing some lyrics to it, and then Crook jumped on it, and I was number 2. And then Lose My Mind, I was putting that beat together, and everything just happened real organically.
Yeah.
I didn't make anything, like I said, I don't make music for an artist.
Word.
And none of those beats were made for that project. I just made them, they liked them, and they used them. So, things happen organically like that. Same thing with I got a project coming out with Currency. Me and Currency did damn near 5 records in one night.
Mm-hmm.
He's different, man. When it comes to he's just different, man. I don't even know how to describe the way he works. That nigga's a machine.
It's crazy because that on that going back to that Hard, the intro, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. I love the way it started, and I love the way Crooked kept on. He was just rapping to it, and the hook would be the Heatmakerz. So I love when songs like the hooks fall into that. So that's like a perfect setup for the album, honestly.
Yeah, he bodied that.
And then were Fred and Joel, were they scheduled to work on a part 2 of their album?
Yeah, that's actually done. I just got to get 1 or 2 more verses from Joel, but Gorilla Glue 2 should be out. I'm assuming top of 21 because I want to let Fred's project breathe for a minute. And I'm also putting together, me and a few other people, me, Fred's management, and his family, all of us, we're teaming up to put together a documentary on Fred that should be pretty dope. We got dope people involved from Fat Joe to LL to Jim Jones to his whole family to Jada. Everybody that fucked with Fred will be on this documentary talking about him. You know what made him special.
Yeah, he just seemed like, I didn't know him personally, but, just from like pictures and interviews, he just seemed like a real humble dude too, real chill.
So humble, man. Would give you the shirt off his back type shit. Like Fred was one of the kindest people. Like if you met Fred for the first time, you told him you ain't have no money, you was starving and hungry or whatever, he's not gonna have you around him like that. He's just one of those people that would give you his last if he could.
Yeah.
That's great. So I was thinking as far as like with production and producing like albums, right? So you know how you did El Capo, pretty much the whole album was you. How do you go about that? Do you plan on doing more things where it's just you and an artist for an entire album, or is it
Yeah, that's 1,000,000%.
Okay.
That's really the next wave of what I'm trying to do. Is the next wave of that for me is being able to do full projects like you said. The El Capo was the first one. I want to do a full project with Cam, probably called King Jaffe. When Joel's come home, I want to do a full project with him. I think with all members of Dipset, before it's all said and done to me, I want to do a full project with each one of them. Like El Capo 2, we're damn near done with already.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But I got a lot of music coming out, but me and Jim did a lot of work.
And
So
to piggyback on real quick, D, I was gonna say those to me are the best albums. Like when you have that one producer, one rapper, and you can just vibe out to it. That's pretty much the best work that gets done to me personally.
Yeah. If they know each other, because a lot of times a new producer and a new artist will try to do it, and then the chemistry ain't there. Like, see, with Jim, there's over 15 years of chemistry. As far as like, I knew Jim when he was first really dipping his toe into the whole rapping thing. So now to be where he's at now, we both kind of grew together musically. So it's easy to come up with the sound for Jim because he's there with me. So telling me what he like, what he don't like, and by the time you get to the third or fourth record, you know already. Like, I know what he's into already.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So how do you decide who to work with?
I think everything happens organically, man. I've never woke up and been like, yo, you know who I need to work with? I've never done that. It's kind of like with Currency. My man called me one day and said, yo, Currency's in New York. He's looking for a studio to record out of. I'm like, he can record out of here, but he got to record Heatmakerz records. Like, he's not gonna come here and do other niggas' records. I might as well work on my own shit.
Yeah.
So my man was like, yo, I'm gonna tell him. So then when he called me back, he was like, yeah, that's what he wanted to do anyway. So he came through. I pulled the first beat I pulled up. He was like, yo, that's fine. He said, he gave him like 10 minutes. He said, you ready? He went in there, laid down a verse and a hook, and I think he put a feature on there. He's like, yo, at this time, he got in there like 8 o'clock. So by the time it was like 8:45, he finished the first record. He's like, yo, shit, it's only 8:45. We might as well do another one. He finished that shit. He was like, damn, it's only 9:30. Might as well do another one. And he kept doing that shit until about midnight, 1 o'clock, and we already 4.5 records in. So I'm like, you might as well do a project. He was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let's just do a whole project.
Yeah, he had an EP right there almost.
Right. So I sent him a couple more records. He knocked them out, and I'm waiting for him to send them back now so I can mix them and we can put this shit out.
Wow.
Oh, that's crazy. He's special too. He's a special rapper as well.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you want to work with that you haven't worked with?
Yeah, man, I want to work with Jay-Z.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Why not, man? I remember when Jay first started. I seen where Jay came from with the when he had the street team cars with the Rockefeller logo on the E-Class. Like I go back that far with Rockefeller. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's a bucket list thing to me, man. I got to do a record with Jay. I got to do a solo record with Jada as far as like a Heatmakerz Jadakiss record. Not with Jada featured. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
Who else, man? There's a bunch of artists. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't over like 20 artists Eminem. I want to do shit with Eminem. And it's not just because of how big of an artist M is. It's just I respect him as an artist. You know what I mean? Like there's just people that's like on my bucket list to work with, and he's definitely one of them. But it's a plethora of artists, man. I can't even run down the list, but it's a lot that I want to work with that I feel like I haven't really worked with yet.
See, I'd be interested to hear Eminem on a soul sample. I feel like we haven't had a lot of that. I think he got the joint with Fat Joe that he did on that album. I forget the name of the song when he went at Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
So he gave us a little sample of that. So I can't imagine what that would feel like over even an EP.
This is what I try to tell people, man. Like when some people, when they think of soul music, they think of like 1970s, like like you know what I mean? Soul.
It could be church.
When I make soul music, I can make soul music out of anything. Soul music is a feeling. Soul music ain't a specific sound or an artist. It's the way the record makes you feel. Like if you listen to El Capo and you listen to Cocaine Dreaming, that's a Arabic sample, but that shit still feels soulful to you when you listen to it because it just gives you that vibe. You know what I mean? Like, damn near every record in El Capo give you a soul feeling. If you really run through it, like if you listen to Pity in the Summer, I sampled the dude that's on the hook. He had a record that belonged to him that I sampled. That wasn't even like a sample that anybody would know. I sampled him.
Was it Mark? I forget.
Mark Sibilia,
Yeah.
We made that into a soul record. You know what I mean? Like if you listen to that, that sounds soulful, and his original record was like a ballad, like a pop ballad. It wasn't even it wasn't soulful like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's dope. Like you ain't just go in and grab Marvin Gaye and
right. You understand? Like, I just believe I can make any record soulful. You just got to let me sit with it and get the right vibe going. But any record could be soulful, man. It just takes the right person to pull the soul out.
Yeah. Plus, you digging in the crates too to find that. So you find the obscure ones. You know what I'm saying? So people can't right away.
I watch Netflix, man. I'll hear something in the background and Shazam it and be like, oh shit, this is, because I'll hear things that maybe most people won't hear in a record.
Definitely.
So it don't take much for me to really hear a record and be like, I got to do something with that.
Yeah.
I had a question about as far as your classes. So I know you had a few master classes that you talked about briefly here, but you kind of had a few in the past. So is that something you kind of want to do more of those? Kind of give back a little bit, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I just think the game is fucked up in the sense that people have information that they don't share for no reason whatsoever. It's like it don't cost you nothing to share it. It ain't gonna hurt you if you share it. Your money's not gonna get any lower. Nothing's gonna happen. Like I think some people are so scared of almost training their replacements. You know what I'm saying? Like some people look at it like I'm training my replacement. I look at it like if you can figure out to do what I've been doing, more power to you.
Good luck, right?
Right, because I know how many years it took me to get to the point that I'm at. If you can figure this shit out in a year or 2 years, my nigga, then something, you're special. You understand? Like, I just believe that everybody's gonna make the music that they were born and bred to make.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't teach you how to make music. Like, music is not something you can teach somebody how to make. That shit is a feeling. I can't teach you how to feel.
Yeah, you can show them the technicalities of what buttons to push when, but yeah.
I can show you how to use a machine. Like, I know niggas that have full-blown studios, $1 million studios, and their music sounds incredibly bad. and I know niggas that have studios in their basement with 2 pieces of equipment, and they get busy. You understand? Like, so it don't matter what you have. You can know how to use every piece of equipment in your studio. It's either you got it or you don't. This shit is not. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, niggas. Either you're nice or you're not.
Yeah. I remember back when Fruity Loops first came out, and I think they had like a sample, and they had Timbaland's, Aaliyah's "Try Again" beat, right? And it played it. He had about 70 different things that you couldn't duplicate that beat, right? So by looking at that, I was like, how if you can, like you were saying, Arson, you can't. You can have the machine, but if you don't know how to make the beat, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
Make a difference.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
that's crazy.
Make a difference.
All right, so we're gonna at the end of each show, we like to do rapid fire. Basically, we'll say 2 choices. You pick which one. We try to make it difficult. Put you in a tough spot a little bit.
All right, let's go.
Ready to roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You gotta keep one beat and leave the other. Dipset Anthem or I Really Mean It?
Dipset Anthem, because Just Blaze did I Really Mean It. So I'm
definitely There we go.
All right. So I know you're a Baltimore Ravens fan. I did my little research, right?
Hey, you know that?
You know that. So, all right. Joe Flacco or Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, Flacco got us a chip, though, man.
Yeah.
Can't shit on Flacco. See, that's what the game does, man. They shit on the niggas that's past their time. I can't do it, man. Sorry, Lamar. Until you bring us that chip, I got to say Flacco.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's loyalty right there.
Yeah, I got to do that.
All right, so I'm gonna hop on that wave. Ray Lewis or Terrell Suggs?
I don't know. You know what it is, man? I got my feelings about Ray Lewis, man. Ray Lewis be doing some suspect shit sometimes, man. I'm gonna go with Suggs, man.
Word up. All right, so this might be a little different question. Not a this or that, but it's more about just in general. So what would you say is your biggest regret musically?
My biggest regret?
Yeah, musically.
I think it was early in my career not being vocal enough.
True.
You know what I mean? Because like during my era, the producers that were kind of outspoken and, you know, i.e. Kanye West, Pharrell, they got pushed to the forefront faster because they were more vocal and they kind of, you know, they ran down on artists. They sat in studios with artists. They became friends with artists. Me, I would just come to the studio, play beats, they pick them, and I leave. And I go back home and I work because I never wanted to feel like I was being a groupie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because I remember times the nigga Cam and Jim hit me like, yo, damn, nigga, you just drop off beats. You can't even hang out with niggas. And in my head, it's like, I don't want to, because I seen too many producers come to the studio and just chill, like on some, I'm home now. Me, it was more like I would drop off beats, they would pick shit, and I felt like I had to go home and work again. You know what I mean? I felt like if I don't work, I'm going to be boxed out. So I always had that shit in my head that I wouldn't let nobody outwork me. So that kind of pushed me away from building relationships with artists because I was too busy in my crib working.
Yeah.
But then it's a respect thing too. You know what I'm saying? You want them to respect you for what you do. So it's like,
and again, that's why that question is kind of like a, you know, like a not saying a weird question, but for me it's weird because I really don't have regrets when it comes to that.
Gotcha.
Because that would have been out of my personality to be like that. I was never like that.
Yeah, it's not your style.
You know? Right. You understand? So I guess I don't really have regrets because everything that's happening for me now is a direct result of the things that I've done over the last 15 years. You know what I mean? So I really don't have no regrets, to be honest with you.
All right. No doubt.
All right. And as a beat fan of yours, I got one more beat question. So we got Killer Cam or who am I?
Killer Cam. Even though, don't get me wrong, Who Am I is still special to me, but I've always felt like I could have did Who Am I better. But Killer Cam, I felt like that shit was just like heaven sent, man. The way that beat came about.
It had like the African beat type of feel.
But let me tell you how that shit came about. I don't know if you know the dude that's singing on this, my man, Opera Steve.
I was just about to ask you where you got that from or who it was.
He's a Spanish dude from the Bronx named Opera Steve. He used to work at Jimmy. He used to manage Jimmy's actually.
Okay.
So one day he comes to the studio when I had the studio in my mother's basement. He comes and I'm like, yo, Cam wants a record for himself. We got to think of something for Cam. I need you to sing something with Cam's name in there. So he's an opera singer. Originally, he's an opera singer. So he started doing like killer, killer, killer. And I'm like, nah, nigga, we need something with a groove, nigga. He starts bugging out. He said, yeah, I know you Jamaican, man. He's like, Killer Cam, Killer Cam. I said, yo, that's fire. He was like, yo, you serious? I said, yeah, that's fire. So he recorded that. And I said, yo, we need something for the verse. Like, we can't just have Killer Cam going through the song. We need like a melody for the verse. So he said, what you think? He said, I said some shit like you standing on top of a mountain singing, nigga.
That's what it felt like. And the drums are crazy.
That shit. He did that shit. Then I started putting the drums on there and the bass line, and that shit came to life.
Yeah.
And that whole shit was done in about 45 minutes. That's why that beat is special to me. That beat was done in 45 minutes, brought it to Cam later that day. That song was recorded the same night that we made the beat.
Cam went ham on that one.
Yeah, they went berserk.
Not Toza MC when I say hammer time.
I got one more, last one. So this is more of a fashion thing. So from the Bronx, we got VIM or Dr. J's.
Dr. J's, man. I ain't gonna disrespect Dr. J's. VIM was damn near Dr. J's too. They was the same store realistically. They just had different names. I guess I'll just say Doc. You know what? Let me give VIM some love, man.
There we go.
I'll say VIM, man. VIM right on Fordham Road.
Yep, no doubt.
Cool. Well, we're gonna wrap it up with Rsonist. Can you shout out your website, your social media?
I'll answer. I pretty much Instagram is what I answer, man. So official Heatmakerz on IG, Heatmakerz with a Z, official Heatmakerz, and that's pretty much it, man. Everything else is I barely check like that, but Instagram I'm on it. So if anybody got to hit me, just DM me on Instagram.
Cool.
Definitely.
So shout out to Rsonist for chopping it up with us. Pleasure, man. Big fans of you. Really appreciate that. So you can check out the Great Minds Podcast on Instagram at the Great Minds Podcast. YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thanks for joining us, Rsonist Heatmakerz.
Thank you, my
Word
brother.
up.